recap, what were some of the big ones? You know, can you solve a one variable equation? For most people, I'd be pretty confident in saying yes. Another big one would be linear equations. So like what we're doing on the DMR, writing equations, given a line, graphing a line, given an equation. I feel confident in your all's abilities to do that. The third biggie would be solving systems of equations for two variables, right? We did that a lot, and now we're into factoring. This is probably our last kind of biggie of the year. All right, but we do, you know, we'll be kind of on this the rest of the year. Okay, this is the fundamental lesson. All right, so all that said, you know, just maybe be a little bit extra focused. All right, so let's go with, so your learning target is to be able to factor trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a equals 1. So if a equals 1 there, it just looks like x squared. It doesn't look like ax squared, okay? So a, b, and c, what are those? Those are just abbreviations for coefficients. Like a is your lead coefficient, b is your middle coefficient, c is your constant, okay? So that's A, B, and C. And anytime you have a quadratic trinomial, which is what we're going to be looking at, we use those letters A, B, and C to signify that. All right, now here's why we've been doing what we've been doing with the fine-tune number stuff, okay? Because to factor this, what you do is you want to find two numbers. That should sound familiar. We don't need two colons. That just wouldn't look right. Two numbers that A have a sum of B, and also have a product of C. Okay, so that's why we've been doing that work. So let's go ahead and jump in and see what that looks like. So I'll totally walk you through number 1. It just says, what's the factored form of x squared plus 8x plus 15? Now, all of these, like I said, will start out with just 1x squared or 1r squared, right? So if that's the case, these would be, eventually we'll learn how to factor other things. These will be what we consider the easier ones, all right? We start out with the easier ones. So they're easy in one respect because we know if we split that first term, we're going to get x times x, okay? So we know our answer is going to be in that form. So without really thinking about b, we know our answer is going to be in the form r plus or minus something times r plus or minus something. And again, you'll just get used to that. There's no reason you should have known that right now, but you'll get used to that, okay? Then we get to the math part of it, all right? So, so again, we look at B and we look at C, okay? So our thought is what two numbers add together to make 8 and also multiply together to make 15. What adds together to make 8, multiplies together to make 15? Anybody got it already? Robert, bless you.
These numbers, like, these numbers add make 8. They're close, but
what are they, Weaver? 3 and 5. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I was looking for. That's all right. 3 and 5. No. 3 and 5. All right. So 3 plus 5 is 8. 3 times 5 is 15. So 3 and 5 are our winning pair. So how we write that in, how that shows up in the rest of our answer is like this. We just do x plus 3 and x plus 5. So that ends up being our final answer. Now, I wouldn't necessarily write this next part out, but I'm going to show you what did we actually just do there. Okay, it's been a while, but if you look back to what we learned in the first part of Chapter 8, one of the main skills would be if I gave you x plus 3 times x plus 5, I'd tell you to multiply that out. And so remember what that looks like is this. And like I said, I would probably advise against writing all this out, but we'd go, we'd distribute the x, so we'd take x times x plus 5, distribute the 3, so plus 3 times x plus 5, and then we, multiply everything out, get x squared plus 5x plus 3x plus 15. Combine your like terms, get x squared plus 8x plus 15. So that should look familiar because that was our question, right? So this is kind of like when you're factoring, I kind of think of this as like a Jeopardy question, right? So you're kind of answering in the form of the question, right? So before in chapter 8, x squared plus 8x plus 15 would have been our answer, right? But now we're going backwards. We're going the other way, right? So this is basically another form of division, right? It's kind of dividing it out. And there's all kinds of uses for this, so stay tuned for that. But right now we're just going to learn how to do this, okay? All right, so looking at the next problem, I'm going to just go ahead and clear a little space there. So we know it's going to be r plus or minus something times r plus or minus something. So then we go into the thought process. What's going to add to give me 11? What's going to multiply to give me 24? Hey, guys, can I ask you to shut your Chromebooks for me? I appreciate that. Andrea? 8 and 3, very good. So 8 plus 3 is 11. 8 times 3 is 24. So that's our winning combo. So what we would type into Math Excel, if this is a Math Excel question, is parentheses r plus 8, close parentheses, parentheses r plus 3. And the last little point would be that order doesn't matter with multiplication. So that could also say r plus 3 times r plus 8. Order doesn't matter, okay? All right, any questions? Okay, so I would like you all to try one without any help. I will put a clue up here if you're having trouble getting started, but feel free to compare with a neighbor, or you can check it on your own if you finish it real quick by multiplying it out. Sign up. Try to get that done before we get to the lesson. Look at you guys already done. And if you are one of those who's already done, I would suggest think about how we could check our answers. Just check it out. Right, so. All right. So all I want here is the answer, and then if anybody needs to see it after we do land on the right answer, I'm happy to walk you through it. All right, so I'm going to go with, let's go with Kevin. What'd you get, Kevin? 4 and 5. So how do we actually answer the question? You're right. You picked the right pair. So what's our final answer look like or say? Very good. So, or we could just read that as x plus 4 times x plus 5. Perfect. Very good. Or you could have written that the other way around. Okay. Anybody have any questions? And again, like I like to, instead of thinking all the ways I could add numbers to make 9, I like to think of all the ways I could multiply numbers to make 20 because there's fewer pairs. All right. So hopefully all that's helpful. All right. We keep rolling then. All right, so same deal here, except, you know, we have a negative sign. You know, kind of same thing. All right, so we know before we even start, we know our answer is going to be x plus or minus something times x plus or minus something. We know on B, again, without thinking too much about it, it's going to be y plus or minus something times y plus or minus something. That's the easy part, okay? All right, so after that, then we get into the math of it, okay? So, so now we're thinking, again, same thing, but we just have a negative, so that always naturally makes it a little bit tougher. What plus what equals negative 11? And those same two numbers multiplied together gives me positive 24. So just to review there, if it's positive, if it's a positive product, that either means they're both numbers are positive or both are negative. In this case, if our sum is negative, then that means that they're both negative, right? So we've already pretty much done this problem. If we look back up at B here, so that was basically x squared plus 11x plus 24. The only difference here is we have minus 11. That's our B term, right? So that would just change the answer then to it's negative 8 and negative 3. Negative 8 plus negative 3 is negative 11. Negative 8 times negative 3 is 24, right? So then my answer, my final answer is x minus 8 times x minus 3. All right. So again, this is a skill that'll come easier to some people. Like some people probably have it. Some people are probably confused. But you will all be factoring machines by the time I'm done with you. Okay. So that's the plan. All right. So now let's do B more together. All right. So one person already has it. So everybody else kind of be thinking about it. So here we're looking for the two numbers. Add together, make negative 6. Multiplied together, make positive 8. Well, at least two people have it. 3, 4. We'll go with Andrea. What'd you get? Negative 2, negative 4. All right. So negative 2 plus negative 4 is negative 6. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. And then, so Shackelford, how do I read my final answer then? Perfect. Y minus 4 times y minus 2, or you could have said y minus 2 times y minus 4. You guys, this is going to be an easy class to teach. All right, you all try the next one. 56 is a little bit bigger number, right? So listing those factors of 56 might be a little more necessary here. So while you're working, I'll put some clues on the board if you're just kind of staring at it, wondering how to get started. All right, so some good clues up there on the board. Feel free to work with those around you as well. At least compare answers. All right. All I want here is the answer. If you have any questions after we get the answer, you guys just let me know. Lily Phillips, were you able to come up with anything there? That's all right. Bree Styles, give me a good virtual answer.
X minus 7 parenthesis X plus 8.
You're on the right track. Peyton, how do we fix that answer? All right, so yeah, they're both negative, but Bree, you were on the right track. Peyton, thanks for the fix. Everybody else, thanks for being ready. Anybody want me to walk you through that one? All right, you guys are doing awesome. Okay, we'll do probably one more example today, one more type, which would be the toughest type. And then, so tomorrow what we'll do is kind of a day 2 where we'll finish example 4 and example 5, which will go pretty quick. And then we'll have time to work, okay? I will post the assignment after this, but we'll finish the notes and have some work time in class tomorrow. All right, so again, we're not doing anything different here. These are just your toughest ones, and I know they're your toughest ones because if you look at C, the last term on all of them, they're negative, all right? So if two numbers multiply together to make a negative, that means that, what about the signs? One of them's negative, one of them's positive. That's right. So these are just a little bit tougher for whatever reason, okay? We still know the easy part. A is going to be answered in the form x plus or minus something times x plus or minus something else. And B is going to be answered in the form n plus or minus something times n plus or minus something. And so we go from there, right? So on these, I think I probably will go ahead and write out all my ways to multiply to 15. So 1 times 15 would make 15. 3 times 5, and that's really it. So we have 2 pairs to choose from, which makes it a little bit easier. Now remember, when you're adding one positive and one negative, you're really kind of thinking about, as far as the absolute value goes, you're thinking about what's their difference. So if I'm thinking a sum of 2, I'm really looking for which pair is 2 apart, right? So obviously that would be 3 and 5. From there, I kind of make my sign decisions, all right? So if my sum is positive, which it should be, I'm looking for a +2 sum, I want the bigger number to be positive. All right, so that's my thought process to come up with, 5 plus -3 equals 2, and 5 times -3 equals -15. So that's my winning combo, +5, -3. So we'd have x plus 5 times x minus 3, or x minus 3 times x plus 5. All right, any questions before we start thinking about the next one? All right, very good. Okay, so you guys help me with the next one. All right, so adds to 9, multiplies to -36. We got a couple people who already have it. I'll give you guys about 10 more seconds to think about it. Good, good. All right, Hoover, I haven't heard from you today. I'm going to give you a shot at this one. 12 and -3. That's right. Very good. 12 and -3. 12 plus -3 is 9. 12 times -3 is -36. So n plus 12 is one factor. The other factor is n minus 3. And again, we skipped this part, but what could be helpful, remember on that, is to write out your ways to multiply to 36. 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. So you do have quite a few pairs to pick from, but then we were thinking which ones are 9 apart, 3 and 12, and then you go from there. Okay? All right, so you try the last one. I'll put up some clues while you're working if you're having trouble. And that'll be probably where we end up leaving off. So you guys will actually have some time to probably get started on this thing when it's all said and done. We're going to do example 4 and example 5 tomorrow. We actually probably have enough time, but the other classes are a little bit shorter, so I'm going to just try to keep you guys with them. So you guys are going to be my advantage class this last quarter. Yeah, that's right. I'm not even going to charge you any extra. I'm not. Hold on. Unless you need help. I will call on you last. How about that? You don't even have to keep your hand up. All right, Robert, what'd you get?
I got -7 and 3.
All right, so how do we write that in as our final answer?
C plus 3. Parentheses, C plus 3. Close parentheses, close parentheses, left parentheses, C minus 7.
All right, there you go. And guys, the easiest way to say that is C plus 3 times C minus 7. All right, or C minus 7 times C plus 3. Anybody need any clarity on that one? And then, guys, I'll just finish with this point. Remember that when you're on your own or when you're taking a test and you can't compare with your neighbor, the way to check these is just multiply them out, right? So you take, guys, there's no need to pack up. Take C times C to get C squared. Take C times minus 7 to get minus 7C. 3 times C to get 3C. 3 times minus 7 to get minus 21, which gives us C squared minus 4C minus 21, which we know is what we were trying to factor. So that's when you know you have the right answer. All right, so we're just getting started on this. If you feel like you're a little bit behind some of your classmates on this, you're not the only one. All right, and we're going to keep practicing. All right, so stay in the fight, keep working, and do some of that drill work I've given you, that worksheet. Okay, that'll really help with this. All right, so we have about 10 more minutes. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here. We'll finish 4 and 5 tomorrow. Why don't you guys take like a 2 or 3 minute break, and then I'll post the Math Excel, and you can try to do 1 or 2 before you leave. Does that sound like a plan? That's where you say, yeah, sounds like a plan.